Alrighty, we should be live. Allow me, you know how the beginning of streams are. I gotta get proper on my chat reading device. I gotta put the link into multiple Discord channels, put it on Tumblr, put it on Blue Sky, all that good shit. You mean Discord? Put it on the Tumblr. Put it on the Blue Sky. And then we will be nice and finish. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, welcome, Vanessa. And here we are. Now that I have tabbed back into the game, the audio should have come right back up. So now that we have game audio, how are we doing, chat? So this game does not have a title screen. It just launched right into it. So what we have here is the settings menu. I thought that would probably be the best place to start. So before we get into it, we can adjust volumes if it's too bad. If the music needs to be louder, if the music needs to be quieter, please do let me know. The font, what font? Okay, default pixel and plane. I think we're gonna stay with default because the pixel looks a little hard to read and the plane is just gonna take me out of the experience. Very nice menu. It is a very nice looking menu. It is really nice. We are going to wait just a few more minutes. Probably not a few more, probably just a minute or two more. And then we are going to get started proper into the stream. Well, well, well. Hi, Snow. Hello. Welcome to the chat. Nice to have you here. I told you I'd stream today. I told you I'd stream today at 2. I've followed every promise I've ever made. Don't fact check that. So, I think we're good to get going. Boss. So, you sure we can trust this friend of yours' info? It'll be a crying shame if you're on about this. This guy's someone to ride the river with. He'd never sell me bunk information. That town struck gold, that's what he heard. Heard? You just heard about it? What kind of source is that? We can't go off of rumors, you nutcase. Are the cowpoke gay? Who knows? Who knows? But think about it. We'll be living like English kings if we take over a supply like that. What else are we gonna do? The last job was a bust. We got nothing left. Alright. We've had some bad luck and are running low on supplies. We'll take that town by hook or by crook. And if they don't have that gold, we can take them for what they do have and skedaddle. The lookout will go early in the morning and see what we're up against. But I reckon we can bulldoze this burg and have some fun either way. Make sure to bring us back some juicy details, won't you, tomboy? He firmly slaps you on the back. Laughter fills the camp around the roaring fire. Sounds like you'll be riding at sunup to check the town out. You feel it's best to get some sleep. Ooh. The desert is an orange haze. Scorched sands whip up around your horse's legs. The sun hot against your back as you ride towards the town. It's a little loud. The music's a little loud for me. Let me... OBS levels. Okay, yeah, I definitely need to turn it down. It should be fine. We should be fine. This is one of those games that kill all audio when you tab out, so that's a little bit of a shame. The desert is an orange haze. I already read that. There's not much to be done while riding. The desert is lonely, harsh, bare. Only thing to do is think. You don't like being alone with your thoughts so often, for so long. But you always are alone as the lookout, alone being the odd stick of the gang. No one talks to you unless they need something. You daydream as you ride like usual. Flights of fancy, of settling down somewhere. You're tied to Curly Wolf and his gang, though. Is it so much to ask to be able to live in peace? To not have to fight for survival, always on the run? Maybe that's what your life will always be like, gang or not. A hunted outcast. They could have sent you off with some playing cards at the very least. You come to an outcropping near a cliff. Tying up your horse, you approach the edge and see the town come into view. A nice frontier town, small but clearly bustling with people. White painted signs on the wooden buildings glint and bloom in the midday sun. You can't see much else from way up here, and turn to go get your binoculars. You open your saddlebag and pull the metal binoculars out, brushing it against your poncho to dust off the lenses. Turning back to walk to the edge, a figure suddenly rounds the corner of the large rock you've decided to set up camp under. Call. Out of instinct, your hand snaps to your holstered gun and pulls it, trained squarely at the head of this new person. The bird, who seemingly came from nowhere, looks at you, clearly just as surprised and out of sorts from your own presence. He shifts backwards, eyeing your hand on your gun. The air feels very still all of a sudden, and given you have the upper hand, you take a moment to look at who you just crossed paths with. He's definitely an outlaw like yourself. A rugged beak shining in the sun centers a face you admittedly find charming. His face and arms are marked with scars, and a large sawn-off shotgun hangs in his holster. Since he's a bird, you know to be wary, just like he'll know to be wary of a canid like yourself. Howdy there. What's your name, partner? Joseph. And what are you doing all the way out here, Joseph? You seem a dreadful long way away from where one might think you should be. Ah, could ask you the same question. You stare him dead in the eye. It's pretty calm for someone having a gun pointed at his head. You can see some of his feathers quivering. Were you trying to sneak up on me, Joseph? Ride me blind where no one else can see? I bet you thought a fella missing an arm would be easy. No, sir. I had no idea you were here till walked around this here rock. He pats the red stone beside him as if to make a point. Sir, what in the Sam Hill? You lower your gun, like your shoulder joint just gave out, and let it hang there. In all my years, no stranger's ever called me sir. Well, color me surprised, fella. You'd have to be blind or full as a tick to not see an upstanding young gentleman. All right. Now you're just licking my boots. The hawk puts a hand to his chest. God is my witness, I ain't lying to you. You holster your gun and snort a small laugh. May he strike you down as a penance, then. How did I not notice the missing limb till now? You're blind, I guess? What are you doing out here? Picking flowers? The smile drops from his face. He stops short and swallows, like he can't bear to say the next words. I'm part of the Black Vulture gang. I'm on lookout here to survey this here burg. That's very forward of you, considering I just had a gun pointed your way. I'm part of the Curly Wolf gang. I'll be damned. You boys have been all over the West. What brings you right here? Much the same as you, I'd imagine. Rumors of gold. You'd have it just right. Well, I can imagine what my boss might want me to do, coming across someone who's sticking their beak in our business. Joseph tenses up, feathers ruffled. He understands full well what you mean. Conflicting interests and all. But he's not here. Would be a real waste of a good bullet to use it on you. Is that an insult, or are you trying to make a mash on me? A small jibe is enough to make you stop talking and search for the binoculars you threw when you pulled your gun, turning your face away to hide the blood rushing to your cheeks under your dark fur. You dust the binoculars off again and walk over to where Joseph is standing, his eyes keenly trained on the town. Don't need no binoculars then, huh? No, sir. These eyes can see all the faces of those people down there, no problem. Sir, again. Maybe it's just a habit of his to call people that. Say, why do you keep calling me sir? I ain't your boss. You just that much of a polite stuck-up? Costs nothing to be kind on the trail, I've found. What do most call you then? You thought this might come up? Of course. You're surprised it took this long for him to ask about who you are. What you are. Most would say tomboy, I would think. Or other things I wouldn't repeat in such polite company. And what would you call yourself? The question takes you by surprise. And something else no one's ever asked you. I call myself a man. Huh? Is that so? He's gonna think you're a nut now. You just know it. You'd be better getting on your horse right now and riding back than staying another second around this stranger. How funny. I guess we're in the same boat, if I'm picking up what you're putting down. Might say that the guys at the camp don't use shove the queer to talk about money. You nod at him, unsure whether to laugh or not. Neither of you seem sure what to say now. Instead, you hold the binoculars to the bridge of your nose and investigate the town, looking down into the valley. After a spell of looking at nothing in particular in silence, you take the binoculars away from your face again, readjusting to the late morning light. You glanced at Joseph's keenly trained eyes, then back to the town. You can't help but stare at the clump of a couple dozen or so buildings. You couldn't help but think about the real people's lives going on down there, every day. Deaths and celebrations, harvests, prayers. How you were gonna hurt him. How you were both gonna hurt him. Don't get it. Joseph's voice snaps you out of your staring. Why would Black Vulture want to come here? There's nothing here. No mines in use, no bank, and they sure as hell ain't rich by the look of things. Maybe they struck a new vein. This is a miner's town after all. But you're right. There's something strange going on. Well, two sets of eyes are better than one, right? You want to work together? You watch my back, I'll watch yours. Deal? A huge feathered hand shoots out at you in expectation. You look at his face, and you both lock eyes for a moment. You're not sure what, but there's something in his eyes that makes you feel seen, being looked at rather than through. Aw, look at them! The little guys! The little fellas! You gently grab his hand, and a second winged hand clasps on and gives your whole arm a big shake. Whoa! Careful there. Don't need to lose another. He lets go and puts his hand on his hips, smiling at you. Hey, come on now. Let's go on down there. He walks past you and heads toward a winding rocky pathway down the side of the valley cliff. You take a moment to look at the town again, walking along the cliff edge to catch up with Joseph. Cute gaze, cute little guys. Wondering if he could see how red your face had been under your black fur, Sorry for kicking my desk. Clambering down the cliff face, the shade of the valley is a welcome change after a long ride in the sun. The climb down is quiet, only a few grunts and gripes. A couple of voices concerned from Joseph you quickly waved off. You both approach a wooden sign you spotted a little ways off, swaying in the desert wind. It looked relatively new, a board hanging on 2 chains, carved into the wood. Can you read it? It was only a single word, but you couldn't piece together quite how to say it. No. Ah, well, I'm sure someone will tell us. You notice some familiar smells drift on the wind as a gust blows through the town past you. Tobacco smoke, whiskey, stewing meat from somewhere. It reminded you of the camp. Walking more into the town, you get a better look at the buildings that were just dots up on the cliff. There was a saloon at least, seemingly one of the older buildings in the town, as well as what you guessed was a sheriff's building, although the sign outside looked to be busted up. Everything else you could see from here seemed to be houses and whatnot. Leftovers, clearly made by miners, not built to be sturdy or last long, but had been fixed up to be livable for folks. Clearly the people here like this place, and if they get a whiff of why you're both here... Alright, partner. I say if we get given any evil eyes, we hightail it out of here. Ain't worth getting shot in a place like this. Sure thing. We got each other's backs, remember? You nod at him. We'd best get talking to people. Daylight's burning. Unable to read. So relatable. We love the little illiterate babies. Oh, here comes someone now. Sure enough, you see a short figure approaching you from the sheriff's office. You hear the pound of a cane on the dirt as they limp towards you with a vigor in their step. When they get closer and the haze of the desert heat obscures them less, you see a smartly dressed old lizard standing before you both. A cane in one hand and a metal flask in the other. Howdy, fellas. I'm Sheriff. Welcome to Clemency. A pleasure to meet you, Sheriff. He gave the lizard an expectant look, waiting for a name. My name is Sheriff. Just Sheriff. That's all you need. And what do you call yourselves? My name's Joseph, and my associate here is... He gestured toward you and turned to look at you, a subtle panic running across his eyes. You realize that he just realized. You never gave your name. What is your name? Oh, sick! We get to name ourselves. Isn't that amazing? Now, obviously, we're not going with Sarah. We're not going with Serotonin. We're not going with Serotonin Rat. We're not going with Corky. This is a character. This is a little canid. A one-armed canid. Van, no. I see what you're trying to do here. And I will not fall for it so easily. Enter name ... Enter name ... Okay, we can't do ... Okay, so we can't do the silly. I wouldn't have done it anyway. Alright, so we've got a Joseph, we've got a Sheriff. What's a good name here? Board? I'm not naming the bird Board. Plus, this isn't even a bird. Board is just a little weird for something that's not a bird, you know? Cass? Like Cassidy Overwatch? Like McCree Overwatch? What the fuck do you take me for? A basic bitch? I suppose something that sounds like an alias would probably be best. What is an Overwatch? Better you don't know. I'm thinking Ace. Kerr. Kerr actually sounds pretty neat. We could definitely go with Kerr. Honestly, yeah, let's go with Kerr. Thank you, Snow. I'm Kerr. Pleasure to meet you. You said this while looking at Joseph, resisting the urge to wink at him before looking back to Sheriff. So what brings you two to our fine town? We're just riding through. Needed a rest stop. There a problem with that? Joseph nudges you with his elbow a bit. Glancing at his eyes, you can tell he's saying, "Don't be so rude." No, not at all. I'm just the closest thing we have to a welcome committee. And it's always nice to see some new faces all the way out here. How long will you be staying? The saloon has some rooms if you'd like to stay the night. That's an awful kind offer, Sheriff, but we'll be gone before nightfall. At least that's the idea. Maybe we'll like this town so much we stay. Joseph and Sheriff both chuckle, and Sheriff sighs. Well, you boys let me know if you need anything else. I'll be at home most likely. Will do. Yep. With a tip of the hat, Sheriff turned and started walking back to the building at the end of the road. You have him return? That's wonderful, Vanessa. With the lizard out of earshot, Joseph turns to you. So, partner, what's our plan? You look around the town for a moment, surveying the handful of people walking about, talking to each other around their houses, taking in the warm wind blowing past you with a deep breath. Sorry. We get talking to folks. And what? They just run their mouth about all the gold they found? No, but I reckon a town this size, if they struck something, there'll be a buzz about. We ask them about themselves, about the town, someone'll spill sooner or later. Alright then. Well, I got a pretty good peep at the place on the way down. We got a saloon just here, we got some sort of town hall over on the far side, and we got a sheriff's station at the end of the road by the looks. I just realized I don't know who is who. I am too dumb. You are a little dumb, yes. I am allowed to insult my viewers. Where to? Okay, Saloon Town Hall or Sheriff's Office. I feel like there's a very obvious answers here. There's a very obvious answer here. We need to go with the saloon. It's the classic! It's a Western game. It's gay cowboys. We need to go to the saloon. Let's check out the saloon. I reckon if anyone knows anything about these rumors, it'll be in there. Alrighty then. Our good friend Alcohol. Walking through the doors of the saloon, you're hit with the very familiar smell of tobacco and alcohol hanging in the air. A couple patrons drink and talk quietly in the corner, not taking any notice of you two. You see a dozen or so tables, and looking up there's a second floor with the rooms Sheriff mentioned. Howdy there. Your attention is grabbed by an excitable and friendly voice coming from a short bird standing behind the bar, who is now grabbing a couple glasses. My name's Bartholomew. What can I get you, fellas? He started wiping the glasses expectantly, glancing between you both as you walked the few steps from the doors to stand at the bar. I'll get a beer. Alright. And you? I'll, have what he's having. Yep, I'm coming right up. He set the mugs down and disappeared through a door behind the bar into a back room. I don't have any money on me, Joseph. Don't worry about that. It's on me. He pat you on the back with a big wing a couple times, but withdrew his hand when he saw you wince a little. Oh, sorry. Was, too hard? No, you're fine. You hadn't winced from pain, you just weren't used to someone touching you. Like that, at least. Friendly-like. Bartholomew reappeared with 2 glass bottles, tipping them into the mugs with satisfying glugs before taking a couple coins from Joseph.
Thank you kindly.
You both take a sip. Joseph seems to enjoy it, but you find it a bit more bitter. You try not to pull a face.
Not like it?
You smile weakly. Not my thing.
Noted.
He winks at you and you feel your cheeks redden a little. You both keep drinking while the bartender busies himself behind the bar. The saloon is quiet. Is snout or beak Joseph? Joseph is the bird. Her is the canid. The one that doesn't have an arm. The saloon is quiet. A piano sits gathering dust in the corner, seemingly untouched for many moons. Wind whistles through a gap in the saloon doors, carrying the sound of desert insects. Slow day, huh? You look up from your drink and see he's looking at the bartender, who doesn't seem to have taken any notice. He glances at you both and realizes rather sheepishly he was being talked to.
Oh, beg your pardon. Slow day? Nah, this is about the usual. It's a lot more lively in the evenings when the sun goes down. Everyone comes here to take a load off.
Man, my Bartholomew voice is all over the place. That's what happens when you can't land on something.
So you know everyone here pretty well, then? Well, of course. Not exactly a big town. We're a pretty tight-knit lot here.
Why's that? This is a mining town, right? These places usually explode with people.
Well, I can't say I know much.
He looks oddly unsettled by your question. How long you lived here for? He perks up again from whatever you said that troubled him, the brightness returning to his voice.
Oh, well, I'd say somewhere close to 8 years.
That's a darn long time.
Yeah, I suppose it is.
What made you stay?
Never mind staying. How'd you even find this place? I never even heard it till we stumbled past.
Bartholomew's cheery smile dropped a little, morphing into something more wistful. Hold on, I'm gonna get into a better position in my chair. Apologies for all the creaking and rocking and bumping into the microphone that I just did. Can't say that's a very fun thing to be doing. I'm also going to readjust my chat reading device. Alrighty, we should be okay. Hold on, let me check OBS. Yep, audio, microphone's still picking up. Sometimes when I move around, my microphone disconnects. Like the face of someone looking at an old, now bittersweet photograph.
You boys ask a lot of questions, don't you?
You and Joseph look at each other for a moment, expecting the other to say something, but nothing comes out.
Don't mind, give it a fair shake. This town ain't the most exciting. It's nice to talk to some new ears that ain't tired of my squawking already.
He gives a little half-hearted chuckle. Bird. It's a little bird. It's a bird.
Well, I found this place because I heard about there being gold. Like a lot of folks, I was fixing to get my fill.
You and Joseph both lean in a little at the mention of gold.
My fiancé was running away from home, and I was going with him. We thought we'd go out west and make our fortune. Looking back on it, I get why so many called us foolish. I might have been one of them if it were the other way around. But we had our hearts set on it. We followed the road by wagon, and it was damn tough. Hellish even. Thank our lucky stars we made it here to Clemency on a wing and a prayer. That was when we really felt like we were foolish. When we got here talking about gold, we almost got ran out of town. I don't know the details, but there was a lot of trouble here when miners ran this place. No one's been digging for decades now, but word hadn't traveled far enough, it seems, to let us know at the time. The first sheriff told us to leave, didn't want no more of our kind causing trouble. But when the sheriff saw how stuck we were, or how we had nowhere else to go, how rough the journey had been on us, the sheriff's nothing if not kind, and could see we weren't troublemakers, just wanted a better life somewhere. He shrugged, like there was nothing more to it. With the town's help, we gussied up this here saloon into something I could run, and the rest is history. I'm glad y'all found something here. Yeah, I can say that for sure. Clemency may be small, but it's something real special if you ask me. So there's no gold here? Bartholomew leaned back against the shelves behind him, crossing his arms. Not as far as I know. The mines are around here somewhere, but I've never seen them. This hasn't been a mining town for a long time, and folks here don't think of it as one. You'd do well to keep that in mind. He tapped the side of his beak as if to say, if you catch my drift. Even so, I would be interested in the history of the town. Afraid that well runs dry here, but there's others who've been here far longer than I have. You can always talk to Sheriff if you haven't yet. Sheriff made this place what it is today. Want to know something? That's the lizard to talk to. Thank you, Bartholomew. No problem, it's my pleasure. Bartholomew stood up from his lean and stretched his back and arms a little. Slinging his cloth over his shoulder, he picked up a small clinking and rattling box before walking through to the back room. The daylight's burning. I think we best get going. Raid. He stood at the bar and waited a moment, while Joseph downed his beer, and then yours too. I hope you can hold that. Ah, please, how little you must think of me. Only a couple of beers. You should have seen me at the Long Branch in Dodge. I drank the entire gang under the table. You can't help but smile at his cockiness, unsure whether to believe him. You briefly think back on the times the gang had gone to bars. You were always told to stay outside, don't wander off. Dog on a leash, waiting for master to come back. Staring into lamplit streets and hearing the braying crowds all around you. Drunken strangers enjoying each other's company as much as their liquor. At first they told you it was dangerous for you to stray too far. Then they started telling you to stay outside after you'd beaten the teeth out of a guy in an alley who you knew had been staring at you. This reminds me of when I was in the Old West. Hey, you were in the Old West. I know you an Old Western. I knew it. I knew by the way I saw you, Vanessa. Couldn't have you causing them needless trouble. Off so soon? Bartholomew re-emerged into the bar, looking expectantly. Well, don't be a stranger, strangers. You're welcome to come back later when the bar's more lively. My husband would love to meet you both. The casual lilt of his words caught you off guard, and you think you see Joseph stumble a little. Sorry. Obviously, whenever I do a lot of talking, I start yawning a shit ton. Failing to get any words out, he just tips his hat, and you both leave the saloon, stepping back into the dust and dry desert heat. Where to? Town hall or sheriff's office? We're gonna give this decision to the chat. I enjoy your VA work. Thank you. I do my best. So, what'll it be? Town hall or sheriff's office? Come on, make a decision. Make a decision. Town hall or sheriff? Town hall or sheriff? Town hall or sheriff? I believe in you. You can make this decision. You got it. Sheriff? Alrighty then, Vanessa. More lizards. Sheriff should know something, surely. Yes, sir. I doubt we're the only ones who come looky-looing here. Looky-looing before. And Sheriff did say to come find him if we needed anything.
You walk the same direction you saw Sheriff leave, down toward the closest edge of town, through what might be considered the main street were this town bigger. Sheriff's office is modest, one of the smaller buildings in town, a short, square stone block with barred windows and a lopsided wooden door. As you get close to the squat building, Joseph slows down and raises an arm to your chest to slow you as well.
Okay, partner. What's the plan here? You and I both know Sheriff is gonna be the most paranoid, owl-headed son of a gun in this burg. We can't go waltzing in there shooting our mouths off about just anything.
Yeah, you're right. All we really need is to know is if Sheriff is gonna put up a fight. Somehow I feel like they're not your usual lawmen. You look around thinking for a bit. Two halves of a tattered sign swing in the wind on chattering chains in front of the building. It seems it had said Sheriff once, and the edges of it had the remnants of bullet holes, shattered and charred wood. I say we tell him what's really happening. To call Joseph's face incredulous at that moment would have been an understatement. He scoffed a little out of curiosity, rubbing his chin with a feathered hand and trying to think what you could mean.
What are you saying? We admit while we're here, acknowledge the corn?
Sorta. I think we can tell Sheriff that there's outlaws coming, and we're worried, about the town.
That's a dangerous play.
Look, the Sheriff is gonna have a good idea why we're snooping around if we don't have a simple, honest reason to throw off the scent. It's easier to lie when there's some truth to it. Joseph rubbed his chin again and sighed.
I think so too, but still I can't help to feel jumpy walking into the lion's den.
You knew what he meant. For people like you, a sheriff's office was never where you wanted to wind up. Walking into the office together, Joseph ducks to clear the doorway. You find the inside to be much more well kept than the outside, which had clearly seen some wear and tear in its time. Sunlight and dust in equal measures came in through the windows, landing upon the desk of Sheriff, who was currently rapidly filling a piece of paper with pencil in hand. After you close the door behind you, you both wait for a few seconds for Sheriff to notice you. Before you can politely knock on the closed door for attention, Sheriff raises a finger on a pencil-holding hand to ask for a moment's more waiting. This was followed by a hasty scribbling onto the end of the piece of paper, before the pencil was thrown onto the desk with little regard. Two keen eyes landed on you and Joseph. Howdy there, fellas. Thought I might be seeing you again.
Howdy again, Sheriff.
Now what can I be helping you both with today?
Oh, well...
Joseph turned to you, locking eyes. You saw the slight wild panic of someone caught in a trap and looking for a way out. Do you protect this town? Sheriff looked miffed, unsure how to respond, like someone had just asked if the sky was blue. As much as anyone else who lives here, yes. What does that mean? I thought you were a lawman. Sheriff regarded you with some annoyance, still seemingly puzzled over what you were asking. I think I see the confusion here. I'm not a lawman. In fact, I'd say I'm not a man at all, or a woman. Sheriff kept looking at you both, trying to gauge your reactions, whether you could be trusted, you guessed. My name is Sheriff. That is the moniker I've chosen, and I'd ask you kindly to refer to me as so, or not at all. Joseph tipped his hat politely.
Not a problem, Sheriff. Do you run this town, then?
That would also be a no. I'm a founder, you might say, but I don't solely run this town. You boys are asking some real strange questions. Is there something I ought to know? Non-binary? Yay! We love a non-binary lizard! We love NBs in our gay people game. Joseph has faltered, and now you did too. This isn't what you just planned. You were just saying the first things that came to mind, fixing on Sheriff with a calm pair of eyes, but a shakiness in the knees. Maybe you hoped Sheriff would say something that would change things. Change what you were both there for. Before you could fall over, Joseph placed a hand on your shoulder, and you tensed before he gave it a light squeeze, stepping in.
We heard from some other fellas on the trail that there were outlaws around, coming this way even.
I see. Well, you boys shouldn't worry. We know how to take care of ourselves in Clemency. We don't get trouble around here often, but we make sure to run 'em off before anything starts.
So you've been here a while then?
Yeah, ages.
How'd you end up living here anyhow? What's the story? You said you're some kind of founder?
Don't get it twisted now. I'm not really a founder. Well, hard to explain. I used to be a marshal. Got sent here 30 years ago already?
And you liked it so much you stayed?
Joseph gives a little bellow of a laugh, but Sheriff's is much more half-hearted. No, well, I wish I could say things back then were as good as they are now. Sheriff stood up, grabbing the cane by the desk that thumped softly as Sheriff started pacing a little through the small office, stretching stiff legs. You boys know this used to be a mining town, right? Course. Well, I used to be the lawman of this mining town. Greenhorn out on their first assignment, trying to keep the peace here. What a joke. The miners had it out for each other. There was nothing but bad blood and gold fever. I learned all too well during that time what it looks like. Gold fever in the eyes. And what people will do to satisfy it. That town was a constant powder keg. And I was only one marshal. Felt like there was nothing I could do. I felt like I needed to do more. I needed to do something to calm the place. I asked the marshals who sent me. They don't give a hoot. If anything, they tell me to keep hands off. Let them figure it out themselves. Shoot them if they step too out of line. That never sat right with me. If there's something you should know about me, about how I conduct my business and take care of this town, it's that I care about justice. Real justice. Not the justice others suck up to, claiming to care about. I learned very quickly that the law is not about real justice. Sheriff punctuated those words said with such fire, with bangs of the cane on the floor. The law of the marshals is not the justice I recognize. It's why I took on the name Sheriff. I wanted the name for myself. They didn't deserve it. Strange, I know. Thank the Lord, much good he's done me, that I met at least one like mind in that town. Alright, since we are right here at a CG, I am going to go get a bottle of water. I'm going to mute my microphone, and we will be right back. Alrighty, we are back. Back. Back? Are we back? Yeah, we're back. We're back! Who's ready for more Lookout? I'm so sorry I had to take a break so early on. I just didn't grab a drink before I started, so I had to grab one. Wow, you're back too? That's amazing, Vanessa. Sometime in the winter, we had a caravan arrive in town. People who had been traveling long across the trail, needing somewhere to stay for a spell. Had some to sell as well, furs and such, anything to help get by. Friendly folks, I enjoyed their company. Spent a night drinking with them around their wagons. The miners didn't take kindly to them, didn't trust them. That was a week I'll never forget. Constant accusations of stealing and flare-ups. Shouting matches almost ending in drawn irons. The miners were so darn jumpy and owl-headed about the slightest things. 3 days later, a miner turns up dead, stabbed in his sleep. The miners all accused one of the traders of doing it. A Mexican fella. Claimed it was his knife that did the deed. I had to arrest him. Held him in this cell here. A tap of the somewhat rusted metal bars with the cane rang out into the room. The traders all came to tell me that I was wrong, that he'd never do something of the sort. They helped push me in the right direction. I'd already had some suspicion about the miners' claims. A lot of accusations had been flying around about the Mexicans and Indians traveling in the caravans. I did a little investigating and found that the miner had been killed by one of his friends. Another feud about gold, some stolen or missing, and his so-called friend had killed him for it. The miners wouldn't believe it, insisted the man in the cell was guilty. I wonder if maybe they just couldn't see what I could, see things through my eyes. It felt like a mockery of justice, of everything I cared about. That was the straw that broke the camel's back. Early the next morning I asked the traders to leave, then take their friend with them. Sheriff notices how intently you both are listening, watery eyes flicking between you both. Anyway, that's a lot of blabbing for me already. Long story short, I kicked the miners out, for the better.
You make it sound like it was real easy. How'd you get that many miners to just abandon gold?
I did what I had to, and I have no regrets or weight on my soul for it. Really, getting them out, that was the easy part, I suppose. We moved and rebuilt some of the town, further from the mines. We all wanted a fresh start. The years since have been hard, very hard. I don't have this stick because I've been sitting on my jollies and gazing at sunsets. This town may be small, but it's a lot of work to keep going. Sheriff turned and went to sit at the desk again, chair creaking beneath old bones. Don't take my griping to think I'm not thankful for this place, though. I've done a lot for it, but it's done just as much, more even, in return. How do you mean? I can't say I've ever really had somewhere I live do much for me. Sheriff sighed softly, looking out the windows into town, a clear view of the cobbled-together houses cascading down the shallow hillside. Clemency has given me somewhere to live. I had many hopes when I chose to stay in this town, to try and make something of it. I've worked hard to earn the respect of those who live here, as a person, not as an authority. People here don't see me as an oddity. They don't fear me. They don't mock or interrogate others for how they live. This ain't just a community. It's family. We're all far from our homes, from the people who made us. But here we can make ourselves what we want to be. A town of runaways who don't gotta keep running anymore. Sheriff stared out the window for a few more moments. The sun was a bright golden shine crossing wistful eyes. Turning back to you, Sheriff pulled back into the desk and got comfortable once more. Sorry, I needed a few more sips. Anyway, that's enough sap from me. Those outlaws all you wanted to talk about?
Yeah, I think so.
You wished you had more questions to ask, more to say, and more to hear about, but no other words escaped your mouth. Except for,
Thank you.
don't mention it. And thank you too for the tip-off. I'll keep these old people's peeled.
Yeah, thank you for talking, Sheriff. We'll be on our way now. But I did have one more question for you. You still with those marshals? In contact with them?
I quit the day I rebelled against the miners. Never heard from him again. Joseph nodded, tipping his hat, and Sheriff tipping in turn. You stepped out the station into the blinding sun together. The dry desert air is warm in your lungs. Blazing afternoon sun bakes the ground beneath you as you walk near the edge of town again. Your throat feels tight, feet sore. There's a gentle pounding of blood in your head accompanied by a familiar piercing ache. Everything seems hazier than it usually is. Thoughts are swimming. You're fine. Just keep walking. You almost bump into Joseph as he stops short, looking around again, searching for anything you might have missed. You look as well, but the sun seems too bright somehow. You look down at your feet to shield your eyes, staring at the tiny dunes of your footprints in the dust.
Alright, so where to now? I think there's only one place of interest left.
You heard what he said, but it didn't quite stick with you.
Yeah, sure.
Should we get going there then?
Again, hearing, but nothing stays. Your thoughts feel like just caught fish wriggling from your hand.
Alright then, let's go.
Yeah, let's keep moving. Joseph starts walking away and you follow. You try to follow. Your feet move, but they don't land where you want, and you stumble a little. Joseph looks around at you as you stand there, staring at your feet again.
Hey, what's the matter, partner?
I feel a little dizzy.
You doing alright? I didn't say anything.
He placed his hand on your shoulders and twisted you to face him, looking down into your face.
Yeah, you're looking a little sick there. Let's go sit down a spell.
He started walking with a hand on your shoulder, guiding you over to a ledge with a shallow drop you could both sit on and hang your legs over. You felt better sitting down, more stable. You hear the rustle of Joseph unclipping something from the back of his belt, seeing him pull around a canteen between the two of you.
When's the last time you had a real drink? Must be mighty thirsty if you're feeling that dizzy.
What is with you and ramen noodle emojis? I don't get it. I don't understand what you're saying here. Of course, how could you have forgotten? You'd been riding and walking all day, but hadn't had a drop of anything since you set out. Although you weren't sure what Joseph had brought with him.
Huh? What's that look for? You think I got liquor in here?
He chuckled a little and unscrewed the cap, letting you smell it a moment before taking a long gulp.
It's just water, see? Get it down you before you collapse on me or something.
You sheepishly took the canteen from him and gave it a little wave in his direction as a cheers. You tilt it to your dry mouth and take deep gulps for a few seconds, licking water drops hanging on the edge of your lips after. Okay, damn, I get it. You want me to take another sip of my drink. Done game. Are you happy?
A bit warm for my liking. Can't beat cold water from a clean stream, but better than drying out like your mama's washing.
You take another swig before handing it back to him.
Thank you.
Don't worry about it. Just pop up next time. Almost hit the dirt just 'cause you didn't say anything.
Sorry, it was just, we have a job here. Didn't feel like I could waste time.
Oh, I can't even make time to sit down and drink. You're unlike most I met. Who put a snake in your boots anyway? You gotta slow down a little.
Maybe.
I mean, what do you do to relax when you're off the job?
Relax?
Yeah, you know, relax, unwind, take a load off.
I know what you mean. The question just caught you off guard a little. You weren't sure how to answer. You'd never given it much thought. What do you do to relax? The gang is always busy with something. Traveling, hiding out, making trouble. Not a lot of time to not do anything. I guess I play cards sometimes. Mostly just solitaire.
Respectable. You win much?
Nope. Ain't about winning anyway. It just helps to pass the time.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Me and the boys usually play some rounds of cards, sometimes betting. Although some of them are some real sore losers, and sometimes it's easier just to let them win and avoid the issue. I beat one of them at poker 5 times in a row, and I swear the rest of the week he was giving me the eyes. I found my hat full of knife holes one morning too, but I think it was just to scare me. At least I hope it was.
He gave out a loud guffaw, the real and unrestrained kind that made you doubt a second if the canteen really was just water. He had a nice laugh, you thought. Sometimes, someone actually enjoying themselves. Maybe it was just nice to hear a laugh that wasn't done at you.
You a gambling man?
A flutter in your chest, at the end of the ribs. Not really. Never had much to gamble in the first place. Always seemed like a waste.
I can respect that restraint. Don't always have to be about money, mind you. When I was younger, me and Papa used to...
He stopped for a moment, thinking and scratching his neck. His train of thought slowed by some forgotten memory.
We used to play cards after dinner, and a lot of days when I came home, I'd bring pebbles from the river. I always liked how smooth and pretty they looked. All sorts of colors and shapes, all of them different. We kept them on the mantelpiece, and when we played cards, we bet with them. He always won, but it was too much fun for me to ever be mad. I think he did let me win, though, when I was betting big and was gonna lose one of the rocks I really liked. He always knew which ones were my favorite, and never wanted to see me cry. I can't think of any other reason he would have lost to me. Suppose I ought to thank him for teaching me.
You weren't sure what to say, so you just gave him a soft smile. Family could be so complicated. You didn't want to say the wrong thing.
Oh, you know what?
He dug into a pocket and produced a tattered-looking packet in his hand that you recognized to be playing cards.
How about some Vintatune? What the fuck is that? What the fuck is that? What is that? I don't know this card game. What are you saying? What are you saying, bird? What are you saying, Joseph? What are you saying, you cute little man? You played that before? And we can bet with the...
He twisted around himself, looking for anything he could use as stand-in betting chips. You saw his eyes settle on a small pile of rocks. Oh, I think I know. Oh, you would know? You would know the card game, wouldn't you, you fucking Frenchie? Sorry, that was rude. I don't know what came over me. I just haven't cursed in a while, you know? You saw his eyes settle on a small pile of rocks for a moment, but instead noticed a stray feather, barely holding onto the back of his hand. He plucked it and placed it between you both, twisting how he sat to face you better.
We can bet on this feather. We'll do a first to 5. You get it if you win, I keep it if I win.
You swiveled yourself round to sit cross-legged and face him. 21 is a game where you get cards as closer as you can to 21 without going over. It's heavily luck, but also some strategy. That's just blackjack! That's just blackjack! Why would you not just say blackjack? That's blackjack! Shut your bitch ass up, that's fucking blackjack. You swiveled yourself round to sit cross-legged and face him. Didn't know you were so desperate to gamble you'd use your own body.
Hardly hard. I just thought it'd be more interesting than rocks.
Oh well, I thought you were a rock lover, Mr. Rock Collector. And take 'em on the open road, your own little rock circus. A regular Barnum.
Joseph couldn't help but smile, even through his fake pouting at your teasing.
I don't know if J.H. Barnum has quite the same ring to it, frankly.
J.H.?
Yeah, as in Joseph Harrier. My initials.
Oh, of course.
So, do you know how to play Ving-Tatoon? Ving-Tatoon. I'm gonna Google it. So that way I don't have to tab out. I'm gonna grab my phone.
Alright, my phone was on my bed, so I had to take off my headphones and such and do a little bit of moving around. However, it is time to Google. Let's find out, what is Vinct et Un? The card game Blackjack. Okay, so it literally is just Blackjack. Under a fucking different name. What fucking language is that? Wow, I really need to stop cursing so much. I have a problem. This is why I'm not getting into BTC Season 2. But yes, I know how to play Blackjack.
Yep.
Right, let's play. Like I said, first to 5 wins.
You've got the 8 of diamonds and 2 of spades, making your total 10. Dealer's face-up card is the 8 of hearts, making his current total 8. It hurts more, let the hate fuel you. You draw the jack of diamonds, total is now 20. Stand. Dealer's hand is the 8 of hearts, 4 of diamonds, making his total 12. Dealer's hand is the 8 of hearts, 4 of diamonds, and 9 of diamonds, making his total 21. Dealer's total is higher. Dealer wins this round. You've got the 6 of diamonds and 10 of diamonds, making your total 16. Dealer's face-up card is the jack of spades, making his current total 10. Hit me, baby! You draw the 4 of clubs, total is now 20. Stand. Dealer's hand is the jack of spades, king of diamonds, making his total 20. Push, no one wins. Go again. You've got the 3 of clubs and the 3 of diamonds, making your total 6. Dealer's face-up card of the king of clubs, making your current total 10. Hit. You draw the king of spades, total now 16. Hit. You draw the queen of diamonds, total is now 26. You're bust. Dealer wins this round. You got the queen of spades and 5 of clubs, making your total 15. Dealer's face-up card of the 5 of hearts, making the current total 5. Hit. You draw the 9 of spades, total now 24. You're bust. Dealer wins this round. You got the 10 of spades and 3 of hearts, making your total 13. Dealer's face-up card of the 2 of hearts, making his current total 2. Hit. You draw the ace of hearts, total now 14. Hit. You draw the king of hearts, total now 24. You're bust. Dealer wins this round. You got the 8 of spades and 7 of clubs, making your total 15. Dealer's face-up, I'm gonna just stand. What if I made fan art of Mint Rat in game style? I would love that. But, yeah. Making his total 15. Dealer's hand is the queen of hearts, 5 of spades, and ace of clubs, making his total 16. Dealer's hand is the queen of hearts, 5 of spades, ace of clubs, and jack of clubs, making his total 26. Dealer's bust! You win this round. You got the ace of spades and 9 of hearts. Your total 20. Stand. Total 10. Dealer's hand is 7 of hearts, making total 17. Your total's higher, you win this round. I'm gonna fuck this guy. I'm gonna fuck this guy in his fucking ass. Hit me, baby. You draw the ace of diamonds. Total's now 17. Stand. Dealer's hand is 6 of spades and 5 of diamonds, making his total 11. Dealer's hand is the 6 of spades, 5 of diamonds, 4 of hearts, making his total 15. Dealer's hand is the 6 of spades, 5 of diamonds, 4 of hearts, and 7 of spades, making his total 22. Dealer's bust. You win this round. You got the 8 of clubs and jacks of hearts, making your total 18. Dealer's face-up card is 4 of spades, making his current total 4. I'm gonna stand. 4 of spades, so he's at 13. Go to 23. He's bust. I win. Ran out of cards. Joseph quickly shuffles the discard pile back into the deck. Oh, it's a winner take all, baby! 11,
Hit! You draw the 9 of spades, total now 20. Stand! Dealer's hand is 7 of clubs, 3 of spades, making his total 10. Dealer's hand is a 7 of clubs, 3 of spades, and 7 of diamonds, making his total 17. Your total's higher, you win this round. Darn, well, there you have it. Take your prize, sir.
You took the feather in your hand, twisting the smooth quill back and forth a couple times between your thumb and forefinger. It was thin and tapered, and the color of coffee. Thick, uneven stripes of cream white ran all along it from the middle.
Thank you, Joseph.
Don't mention it.
God, it hurts to do this accent. My tongue wants to kill me.
You pocketed the feather carefully.
We should probably, get back to it.
Long as you're happy to and can stand steady, then I'm ready to.
You swung yourself onto your knees and stood up with a sprightly jump.
Already, let's get a wiggle on.
Yes, sir.
There might be a meeting we can drop in on at the town hall. It seems worth a look.
Sounds good to me. I wouldn't mind sitting down a spell neither.
You both start walking to the outskirts of the town, weaving between the clumps of houses and down the dirt banks. You keep walking on a flat stretch, smooth and compacted from the frequent travels of people. Some townsfolk on their porches wave at you or give a little afternoon as you pass on by.
Is it just me, or does it feel like everyone here is nicer than most?
Well, maybe, but I ain't complaining.
He gives an enthusiastic wave to a small kid shyly hanging around outside their house under the shade.
I could get used to folk being nice to me.
They not usually?
I mean, I don't stray far from the gang a lot of the times. Maybe this is normal.
Yeah, I suppose I wouldn't know either.
You arrive at the large wooden building you'd been heading towards, noting how similar to a chapel it looked. Joseph walks up the small steps and opens the door with a rattle, holding it open for you.
Thank you kindly.
He follows you into the short, darkened hallway, closing the door behind him with another wooden rattle. The meeting hall is fairly large and simple and bright. The wood walls are varnished and gleaming from the ample sunlight filtering through the arched windows. Rows of benches line the aisle, half facing away and half facing toward you on each side. Sitting on a nearby bench turned away from you is a hunched figure in black. Hearing you come in, the figure jumps to life, rising from the seat. They turn to you both, revealing themselves to be an elderly tortoise, holding a small book in one hand.
Ah, do my eyes deceive me, or do I see new visitors to our town?
He walks with the characteristic slowness of someone his age and nature down the aisle towards you both, but with a sprightly spring to his step.
Bowser! Mario! Oh my god!
Did that peak the mic? It looks like it peaked the mic. I apologize for that. He tucks the book under one arm and extends both his hands to shake hands with Joseph, and then you.
Welcome.
Oh, that's Jacob. Fuck. 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 Oof, my ears. Suffer, Snow. Die.
Welcome to Clemency, and to our meeting hall. I am Jacob, and what might your names be?
I'm Joseph, and this here is my associate Kurt.
Pleasure to meet you.
I assure you the pleasure is all mine. It has been a good while since we had fresh faces around here. Now you'll have to excuse me, but I have some business to attend to quickly. Feel free to sit and pray here until I return if you wish.
Hold it, his name ends in B-O. Jacob. Before you can ask any more questions, he shuffles between you both and out the door. You and Joseph look at each other quizzically, sitting down on the nearest bench together.
What did he say? Sit and pray here?
That's what I heard too.
Is this a meeting hall for prayer? The meeting house of God? I don't get it.
You can't help but smile at his musings as he looks around the room, looking into the rafters of the ceiling before turning back to you. You lock eyes with him, staring into the honey gold and brown streaked rings of his keen gaze. He smiles at you coyly and looks away, readjusting in his seat. You realize you were holding your breath. You sit upon the bench more too. The hard wood at your back reminds you of church days. All the fuss and protest against your mother about your Sunday best. You don't miss the frills and laces at all. You do miss singing hymns with her. She had a beautiful voice.
I don't remember the last time I prayed. Don't cross my mind very much.
Can't say you're missing anything. All the good it'd do you.
Not a believer?
I don't want to blaspheme, but God's done a whole lot of jack squat to help me all my life. Don't really feel like praying to someone who doesn't care about me, or anyone like me for that matter. Which is why I wouldn't have pegged you for a devout man.
Joseph laughed a bit,
almost mocking the idea.
No, I don't think anyone could accuse me of that. Not with some of the things I've done. But, still pray. Only the Lord knows if he's listening, but it helps remind me what's, important to me. A lot of the time, I just pray for family. Hope they're doing fine.
I hope they are too. There was a momentary silence between you, like the subtle shift of coals in a long burning fire, now snuffed by the door rattling open again. You looked behind you and sure enough, it was Jacob shuffling in. He grabbed a broom and briefly swept some dust he'd tracked in back outside, before closing the door with another rattle. Why am I having so much trouble with that sentence? I'm normally so much better at reading.
Forgive me for the delay. I hope I haven't kept you two from your business.
Don't worry yourself. We're doing just fine here.
He leaned into and nudged you playfully.
Good. So, how may I help you, gentlemen?
The word catches you off guard a little, the way it trips off his tongue so easily. No bitterness or mockery. Joseph seems to stall for a moment before a little wry smile returns to his face. Excuse me. He adjusted in his seat to turn to Jacob, who had now taken a seat facing you on another bench.
Well, we're just passing through, but I'm curious. You mentioned something about prayer?
Well, yes, of course. You must forgive me. I'm clearly far too used to the usuals of the town.
His slow drawl of words is comforting, like being told a long-worn story by a grandparent.
This is a meeting hall for friends, Quakers, if you will. We're a largely Quaker community here in Clemency.
Quakers. Oh yeah, there's a lot of you folks over in Pennsylvania and the likes, ain't there?
Yes, indeed, that's true. In fact, that is where I hail from, but I must admit, it has been a long time since I last visited.
Sorry, I've got to say I'm at sea here. I've never even heard of Quakers.
I can't say I'm much more enlightened myself. I don't know nothing about them.
You both turned to Jacob expectantly.
Well, what's the simplest way I can explain our beliefs?
He fell into deep thought for a few moments, eyes staring into the middle distance before coming back to life.
We believe that there is that of God in everyone, that we all have an inner light that guides us. We don't perform sermons or sing hymns, instead we pray in silence together. There are no guidelines as to what you should do, other than try to connect and listen to the light within yourself. We also very strongly believe in pacifism.
And oh, gross, I just accidentally spat a little bit. Disgusting.
And do what we can to promote peace, denouncing all forms of violence and the degradation of our fellows who walk the earth with us. It's important to respect the light of God within everyone. That's certainly how I see it.
That sounds nice, but, well, things don't often work that way, in my experience.
Jacob smiled wisely, likely having heard the same sentiment many times before.
Yes, there's certainly some that adhere to it more than others in town here, but it's always been an important tenet of our community.
So everyone in this town are Quakers?
Well, yes and no. Many of us are, but some of us... Many of us are, but some of us more so just adhere to the same principles and ideals of nonviolence and so forth. Quakerism isn't enforced, but it bonds this community.
Huh, interesting. What about why am I struggling? Huh, interesting. What about old Sheriff?
What about Sheriff?
With the pacifism and whatnot, it doesn't seem like it'd be easy.
Oh, well, yes, I can see how you might suppose that. Sheriff cares about keeping the peace, but isn't solely responsible for it. We all are. It's what made this town so easy to keep going. Me and Sheriff see eye to eye on many things.
So you and Sheriff have been here a while then?
Did you found the place or something?
You'd have believed it by the tortoise's age. He could definitely be as old as this town.
No, you flatter me, for I am not quite that pioneering. But I have indeed been here for a long time. If you'd indulge me, I could tell you a little of my story.
Please do.
Jacob nodded, again drifting off into thought for a moment, before coming back with his words.
We got a little tortoise. We got a torty fella. A little turtle. We got a little turtle here.
As I said, I'm from Pennsylvania. During the height of the gold rush, with so many heading west, many Quakers thought it would be of benefit to follow. I was much younger then, much more eager to get on the trail and spread the ideals of the Friends. Although I can't say my love of blabbing has waned much.
He gave a charming and hoarse little laugh at his own chime.
The trail was very hard, but I learned much from others in the caravans and towns and cities on the way. So much life and light. I arrived in this here town maybe more chipper than I had left, but it was not to be.
His expression softened, drawing into himself, emotion failing to find its way onto his face.
I loathe to speak ill of my fellow man, but when I arrived, this was a godless place.
You drink a lot? What do you mean I drink a lot? What do you mean I drink a lot? I just like drinks. Every time I feel like I need a drink, I take a drink. Asshole.
The miners had little care for each other. But it out of greed, or desperation, they were consumed by their need for gold, even those who had had their fill. The whole town was tense and unpredictable. Arguments, even violence, would erupt whenever something valuable turned up. A new vein, gold in the river.
You drink a bottle of water a day? Like a normal critter? I hate to tell you, Vanessa, but that is not exactly normal. You should be drinking more than that. Shit. I think I forgot to read a thing. Fuck!
They'd do whatever they had to get what they wanted. The night I arrived, they told me of the so-called savages that used to reside there. Very little makes my blood boil, I tell you boys what, but the way the miners talked about those Indians. How happily they told me stories about the ways they drove them out. Unspeakable things. Things I dare not and would not want to repeat to anyone. I tried explaining the Friends' way, how even the savages, as they called them, had the light of God in them, how we were equally important in the presence of God's light. that the people we share this earth with were not our enemy. They had no care for my explanations. They had no care for the needs or lives of others than themselves. It made me wonder how Quakers past had convinced people of the evils of slavery, of the importance of peace, building bonds instead of destroying one another. I lost hope. I thought maybe things had changed so much, perhaps this was the people's limit. Tolerance of those who could get in their way was no longer an option. Or perhaps I was just a failure, unable to convince a single soul of giving a damn.
The old tortoise looked forlorn, brow furrowed, like he was reliving these moments so vividly that these were the same faces he wore.
Then along came Sheriff. Oh, Sheriff. I was a little worried when Sheriff was first assigned to the town, that I'd just have another person to fight with, someone with authority on the side of the miners. Instead, I found a kindred spirit, someone who actually listened to me and agreed with me on many things. Very quickly, we became firm friends. Eventually, Sheriff got sick of the miners, decided enough was enough and shut down the town, forced the miners to move elsewhere.
The entire time he'd been talking about Sheriff, his face was lively and lit up, his hands moving with his words. It was a lot like how your pastor used to give sermons.
Surely there was resistance to a whole mining town being packed up like that.
Of course, but Sheriff did what's right. That's the way Sheriff's soul is set. I'd felt buried by the weight of the town's hate, their convictions like stone walls I could not scale. I'll be grateful to God until the day I die that Sheriff came here. I was given so much hope when I'd lost it all.
And you've been here ever since?
Jacob chuckled.
Yes, we have. Only a handful of us stayed after the miners left, and it was hard to know whether this town would still stand. But we felt sure we could find more people who cared, as long as we worked together. More people like us.
His words hung in the air, settling around you and Joseph as Jacob settled his gaze on you both. So, those mines are still around. A lot of mining towns died down because of the gold drying up. But if the miners just left, I guess there's some still here.
Well, yes, I suppose so. I can't say I've thought much about it in recent years. We don't encourage those looking for gold. I'm sure you understand it's nothing but trouble.
His warm gaze turned somewhat steely. You weren't sure how long it might go on for if Joseph didn't pipe up.
Course, Jacob, we're just a curious bunch. Thank you for talking with us strangers so long.
His stern eyes disappeared in an instant, and he humbly waved away Joseph's thanks.
No, the pleasure's all mine. It's been good to talk to new ears. If you'll excuse me now, I must get this place tidied up before today's meeting.
Quaker meeting?
Yes, indeed. You're both welcome to join us if you'd like.
Thank you, Jacob, but I'm thinking we'll be off anyhow. You all stand, stretching and shaking off the stiffness from wings and tails and legs.
Go well, and keep the light close to you.
You both nod and leave through the same rattling door as before, catching one last glance at Jacob starting his chores before you close it. Joseph stands with you for a moment in the porch of the meeting hall, looking off into the town. What's she thinking?
Well, we know now that these folks ain't gonna put up much of a fight. Maybe some of them, but...
And there's definitely gold here, somewhere. Joseph had no real emotions playing across his face, but he was standing much more still than you had seen him before, like he was trying not to breathe. Come on, we got more people to talk to. He exhaled sharply, feathers on his beak next to his nose holes fluttering.
Yeah.
You walked past the houses and people like before, but didn't feel like waving back. Walking back to the edge of town on the other side from the sign you now knew read Clemency, you both sit on the edge of a little hillside slope, kicking dust upon yourselves as you settle on the rocky crevices. I think that's all the useful places of interest here, unless I'm gonna go knocking on folks' doors asking for gold. I think we've disturbed this lot enough for a day. Your resting hand becomes restless as it brushes against some dry desert grass, entwining it between your fingers, slowly pulling it from its roots. So, what did we actually figure out? Everyone here is kind and mostly defenseless. I think pacifist is the word. You tug more grass up into your hand. They can maybe fight off some bandits, but no officers are gonna come help, and they ain't gonna do much good against a whole gang. And there is gold here, somewhere, in some forgotten mines no one's seen for decades. Well, it's gotta be around here. This is a mining town for Pete's sake. How far could it be? You shrug. Sheriff said the town was moved. The mines could be anywhere now. Maybe it really was just rumors. Maybe there's not really anything to find here. I think you know as well as I do that these folks are antsy. And friendly as well, but gold gets their hackles up. And someone has to know where the mines are. You knew he was right. You knew how to read people well enough. Joseph stood up, gazing out across the landscape of the town and beyond, searching toward the horizon. Gonna use those special eyes of yours, bird brain. More use than you chasing your tail, mutt. He looked at you for a moment with a smirk, and you smirked back. You rolled the grass in your hand between your fingers, squashing the reeds of it together, dropping seeds in the sand. I can't see nothing. Goddamn sun in my eyes ain't helping neither. I don't know if Bartholomew would help out. He was maybe the most friendly one of the bunch. Sheriff didn't even talk about the gold, because Sheriff knows how to keep the town safe. You look up at Joseph, his puzzled face squinting in the sun, looking down at you. Looking back out into the desert, the sun sits between two rocky outcroppings in the distance, a light bulb plucked from the sky by unmoving fingers. It'll start getting dark soon. The sheriff knows where the mines are. Bartholomew said he never saw them, and Jacob was never a miner. He had no reason to go to the mines. What, so he never saw them? That don't make sense. I'm not saying that. I'm saying even if he did see them back then, he wouldn't remember where they were now. Sheriff still knows where they are because they're the biggest danger to the town. I'd wager Sheriff even checks up on them every so often to make sure it's undisturbed. Huh, I guess that checks out. We don't have the time for a stakeout, though. You balled your hand into a fist, the grass yielding and turning to dust. We don't need to know where they are anyway. We got all we need. Knowing where the mines are would just be a penny in the hat. We should think about our next move. You ignored the tiny knot in your stomach as you thought about what to do next. You should just leave, but there's nothing else to do here. We should just think about resting. Getting dark soon. I think we could stay at the saloon. The sheriff did offer. You sure you want to stay here for a night? Seems like least we can do before we leave. Unless camping outside has some mighty appeal to you. Joseph flashed a wry smile. Alright, let's go have a look first. No point bringing the horses down if I can't afford the rooms. Standing up, you feel the dust fly between your fingers with the winds blowing east, and follow Joseph a few paces behind. You walk toward the saloon again, looking forward to having somewhere to rest. You don't remember the last time you actually stayed in a room somewhere. It was always a tent, or just in your bedroll, lying beneath the stars. You see Sheriff and Bartholomew standing on the porch of the saloon talking intently, but you can't pick up any clear words on the wind. Sheriff notices you both as you approach, patting Bartholomew on the back as he takes his leave back inside. Sheriff leaves the shade of the saloon's overhang, walking with purpose towards you both. The blue of the sky was starting to fade into oranges, pinks on the edges of the sparse and tiny clouds overhead. You both slow to a stop as Sheriff approaches you quickly. The face approaching you was different from before, and you see Joseph's face fall a little. Sheriff came to a stop in front of you both, twisting the cane in the dirt a little. The old and frail figure standing in front of you was shaking a tad. You could hear slow and deliberate breaths from the chest. The usual confidence and bluster off of Joseph dissipated under this new glare of Sheriff's. The new and sharp eyes unlike those you'd seen when you arrived. There was a tiredness in them, a fierce tiredness, beneath which was a wild look you'd only seen in the eyes of the newly grieving. Gripping the cane, scaled knuckles turning white, Sheriff spoke in a low, calm voice. "Yeah, I should have known. Thought maybe I was wrong this time. Y'all seemed so, I don't know, like you should be here. Even so, I knew there was something off with what you were asking."
Is everything alright, Sheriff? We were just going to see if we could stay at the
Sheriff slammed the cane onto the dirt with such force he feared it might crack the earth beneath. "You know damn well things are not alright. I had a little chat with my friends around town, talking about the newcomers, what they'd been asking about. Just passing through town. Give me a break. I should have known it was too good to be true. I know when I see the gold fever in them eyes." "We're not here to cause trouble, Sheriff. We'll be on our way tomorrow morning."
"Really now? Well."
Sheriff reached a furry hand behind and pulled an old revolver to point at you. "I'm gonna say this, and I'm gonna say it once. I made a promise to protect this town and the people who live here, that I would do what was right by them. So both of you are gonna turn tail and leave, right now, and you never come back. And if I ever see either of you heading this way again, I will shoot you dead before nary fur nor feather crosses that town line." You stood still next to Joseph, a small fear of walking taking hold as you feel like the wind might knock you off your feet.
"Understood, Sheriff."
Joseph started walking away, not stopping for you even as you stood there a moment longer just to say one word. "Sorry." You knew that didn't make up for it, but it was all you could muster from your tight throat. You turned quickly and walked away after Joseph with your head down, staring at your feet as they rhythmically sped one after another, through the dust tracks of a town you couldn't come back to. The climb back out of the valley was quiet. The wind was the only noise to reach your ears. No words coming to pass between you and Joseph. Only the occasional meeting of the eyes when he looked to make sure you hadn't fallen behind. Those eyes, that face you had grown accustomed so quickly to having at least the hint of a smile resting, was devoid of much emotion at all. He wasn't thinking about it, you felt, but to not think about it meant to not think at all. And so he didn't. His limbs carrying him up the path, but no one was home. You understood, of course, as much as you'd like to not think about it either. You couldn't ignore the small dread in your chest, like it was in the cavities of your insides, seeping around in between your organs, a creeping tar. Not a suffocating tar, just making you feel heavy, dense. If you stopped walking now, you didn't know if you'd start again. The sun was starting to dip into the horizon when you reached your original meeting spot at the top of the cliff. Both your horses were lying in the long shadows of some rocky mounds, your own shadow stretching across the sand as you go to tend to them. You both hauled your bedrolls off and started to unpack them, giving the horses some water and sorting through your belongings. Still without a word, a camp for the night quickly formed between you as you worked. Joseph had brought a thin metal stand with him to hang the cooking pot over,
and gently tossed you his book of matches as he erected it. You struck the match in a familiar fashion, placing it in the middle of a dried assortment, blowing gently to encourage the shy flame. Lifting your head back up from the budding fire, Joseph was having a little issue getting his stand to, well, stand. His face was still the same neutral, empty face from before, and you noticed a little catch on a joint that hadn't flipped properly. You brought your hand up to flick it out of the way. Either the lurch of the stand falling into place or the momentary touch of your hand against his seemed to jolt Joseph out of his listless state.
Thank you.
A smile, just a small one, a weary and wary one, had returned to his face. You were glad to see it again. It was enough to make your chest a little tighter, the tar receding just a touch. With the fire lit, a modest plume of smoke started billowing into the sky and scattering in the fading sunlight. Joseph got up momentarily to rummage in one of his saddlebags, coming back with a tin and some bundled cloth.
I've got some beans, some salted pork too. Not sure what you got with you.
Oh, right, yeah. Hold on. You had plenty of water still, and if he was propping up the bulk of the meal, you had some molasses to add too. You brought them both over and let Joseph, sitting on his bedroll he'd laid out now, take the reins. Wasn't really a two-person job. With the beans gently cooking away now in the pot, he sat there, lazily stirring it with a spoon. You grabbed your bedroll and laid it out on the opposite side of the fire, squatting and dropping onto it with a thud, tucking your legs towards you. Resting your head on your knees, holding them in your arms. The two of you sat like this a short while, watching the pot steaming away, the orange flames licking the underside of the well-used metal. You found yourself thinking about what happened in Clemency without even realizing. The pang you felt in your stomach when Sheriff knew why you were there. The sharp chill that shot from your neck to your tail when the gun was pulled on you. You weren't scared of being shot. That wasn't it. That wasn't what set your palm into a cold sweat. It was something else. Something about having to leave that town.
Sorry for letting you do so much of the talking today. I'm more the quiet type. Sure you figured that out already.
He flashed you a weak but genuine smile.
Not like I did us much good.
It wasn't your fault, Joseph. Sheriff was paranoid and we were bound to be rumbled eventually. Besides, it doesn't really seem like there is any gold here, unless we feel like setting up a new mining operation.
Yep, I'm sure Black Vulture will love to hear that. Wasn't my fault, I'll say.
He sighed, a sharp, exasperated exhale through his nose holes, one knee of his crossed legs fidgeting and bouncing as he stirred the pot. You were a little taken aback that he seemed to be mocking what you said. Maybe it just wasn't what he wanted to hear right now. Still, you understood his frustration. What would your bosses think? If we told them what this place was like, would they even believe us?
Sorry.
You were snapped from your thoughts by his apology, a slightly guilty look on his face, knowing he must have seen that he hurt your feelings a little.
You're right, it's not my fault, exactly, but... Hell, this is a mess, Kerr.
His fidgeting was spreading, playing across the feathered fingers of his wings, his face, his eyes, his knees again. Like a ragtime tune was playing all across the inside of his body.
What's he like, Black Vulture?
He's,
His breathing was ragged, too. You got onto your knees and reached your hand onto his that was stirring the spoon even now, a gentle but firm grasp stopping its motions. Your eyes met over the cooking pot. He looked like he was seeing you again for the first time in a long time. The shaking in his hand came to rest and relax, its vice grip on the long spoon as you held each other's gaze.
Let go. I'm here. It's all right.
He nodded a few times, taking his hand away and resting on his haunches, stretching his legs out. A few moments passed as Joseph regained his calm, laid-back demeanor,
One leg still bounced a little, a quick rhythm, tapping a dance hall tune. The sun was almost gone now, the last dregs of its light in the desert turning everything in the distance a single dusty red. You could see the stars now as you looked to the sky, the light continuing to fade. Just a quick little sippy. More and more points of light darting their way to the east. You turned your eyes away from the sky when you heard the sound of a penknife flicking open. Oh, don't mind me none, just doing a little preening. He started taking the knife gently to his wing, very gently. He seemed to be scraping away older feathers, while also opening new pin feathers scattered across the wing, in motions almost like shaving. Forgive me if I'm talking out of line, but why don't you use your beak for that? Well, Mama always told us you don't use your beak for things around anyone other than family or lovers. It ain't polite. He seemed a little sheepish admitting it, like it was an uncommon quirk of his family. You asked about Black Vulture, yeah? Don't you know the stories already? Yeah, but those are just stories. I know what it's like riding with someone with a few tall tales trailing behind them. Joseph snorted a little, still making his way across the wing with his small knife. Yep, that sounds about right. I'm pretty sure some of the more flattering ones I've heard were left behind by the vulture himself. You settled on the side of your legs a little, getting more comfortable as you kept stirring the ever-cooking pot. Where to begin with the man himself? Jeez. He's a real piece of work, that one. I can tell you that much for sure. He's a city slicker that considers himself a cowboy, even though he hates getting his boots dirty. Acts all gentlemanlike and such, a real flannel mouth. He'd charm the pants off of you if you had something he wanted. Then when he's got what he wants, he jabbed the knife towards you pointedly. He'd stick you in the back and twist it hard to hear you cry. He turned the knife back to preening. He's a terrible shot, too. There are some stories that he could shoot the cap off a bottle without spilling it from 50 paces. This game was originally made for the gay Western Jam. Yes, it was! But he ain't the sharpshooter, never. He's almost as bad a shot as me. Got someone else for that. See, that's how you run in his posse. You make yourself indispensable. He tapped his knife on the ground through the word to make his point. His gang is on the smaller side, but they're plenty loyal. They need to be. There can't be anyone else. You're loyal then? I'm the eyes. I'm useful. I get on good with a lot of them, and Black Vulture keeps me around. Win-win. You understood what he was saying, what he meant, what he really wanted to say. You understood how it felt to be under that kind of looming shadow. No one for miles around, but don't say anything, just in case. You'd seen what happens to other people. You both had, for sure. Joseph was as far from a greenhorn as could be. He swapped hands and started the knife on his other wing now. So what about Curly Wolf? You said there were plenty of tall tales about him. Split fair with me. You didn't look at him when he asked you. You kept looking at the pot, peeking over to check the beans. This looks about done to me. Joseph stared at you for a moment when you did meet his eyes, and then closed up his knife, kneeling over to look with an approving whistle. Yeah, looks it to me. You laughed a little as his stomach gave a hearty growl, fetching the bowls and holding them while Joseph served you both a big slopping portion. Excuse me? Night had come now, and you both gathered a little closer around the fire and moved the pot stand to the side. You could see him easier now with it out of the way. With the pot lifted, the fire rose, dancing in the wind, sometimes hazing your view, the blur flitting in and out as you glanced eyes while you ate. Believe it or not, but I ain't the cookie back at camp, and someone else got that privilege. He was clearly joking, but the beans were some of the better you'd had. I never would have guessed. I don't cook that often, but I make some mean donuts from time to time. Oh, you do now? I'll have to try them then. I hope so. It was so selfish to ignore his question. Say nothing about Curly Wolf. So rude of you. You weren't raised like this. You couldn't, though. Never. Or more like you didn't know what to say. How many years it had been now? Sorry, I should have said something when you asked about my boss. I get it. No, I mean, of course you do, but it's also that when I said I was the quiet type, it's more than that. If I'm shooting straight with you, I don't remember the last time I heard my own voice before today. At the camp, I might say yeah or no, but I don't really talk. And when I'm away, I'm on a lookout. There's just no one to talk to. I don't want to talk to myself and just be reminded I'm alone. I've never talked about him. I wouldn't. Joseph looked straight at you. Even into you, it almost felt like. You could see the fire between you and his eyes. Flames fluttering across the irises. The intensity of his look gave way to something like relief. Nah, don't worry about being a quiet one. I think it's part of your charm. There are lots of wannabe tough guys who want to act like you with no sweat. That strong, silent act. Besides, the guys back home are always telling me to shut up. Not that give them the satisfaction. I can tell you that being quiet doesn't change things. Same horse shit regardless of whether you make a fuss. He sighed, a long sigh. What words could you even use for a man like him? Curly Wolf is a bad egg. I think sometimes he was born like that. I know he can't have been, but I don't know what godforsaken things happened to him to turn him into what he is. He's probably the meanest, roughest bastard you'll ever have the misfortune of meeting. Anyone you can think of that you wouldn't want to run into, he's worse than that. I don't know about Black Vulture, but the stories Curly Wolf leaves behind, I don't think they even match up to how dangerous he is. I've seen him gun down traitors riding away on horseback 200 paces away. It's easy to get his dander up, and he's the last person you'd ever want to do that to. You'd make sure of that. Not the brightest you'd ever meet, but his instincts are keen. He's never made an empty threat, and he'll happily get his hands dirty to make good on them.
Shit. Black Vulture said before he'd be willing to pick a fight with Curly Wolf, but they've never met. Now I'm wondering if he has any idea what that would get him into. He ain't stupid enough, but he's definitely too cocky for his own good. Oh, eat your bowl before it gets cold. Nothing worse than cold. As I said, sometimes when I fuck with my microphone, it disconnects. So, properties, yep, still the right microphone. Sorry about that.
You did as he said, mulling over what you talked about while you ate. Joseph had had a head start on you, but even so his eating was voracious, and he finished before you were even halfway through yours. He sat back from his hunch over the bowl, wiping his beak on his arm. He looked around some, into the fire, out into the darkness of the desert, at you. You could tell he didn't want to stare, but his eyes took you in anyway with long glances. He coughed, clearing his throat to stall for the words he was thinking of.
Say, Cur, I wanted to ask.
He grabbed his knife again, taking it to his wing once more, looking away as he asked a common question.
Your arm. I hope you don't think me cruel for asking, but what happened? Did he do that to you?
You were pretty used to questions about it. You appreciated the genuine warmth behind his words, at least. This old thing? Yeah, it wasn't pretty. It was a practical joke of sorts, if you'd call it that, by some of the guys during a camp. Took my bandana and shoved it in the mouth of one of the horses. Egged me on like to get it back. Reached my hand in, and of course the hoss gets all antsy and bites down. Starts thrashing, trying to get away. I don't remember much after that. Blacked out from the pain. Next thing I know, I'm being hauled to some doctor. Told me they had to amputate for petrified. Joseph had stopped grinning at this point. looking at you with some real watery eyes and a soft expression on his brow of both anger and horror. Got the bandana back, so, win some, lose some.
I'm sorry.
Nothing to be sorry for. Long time ago. You just live with it. Bowling finished, you set aside your bowl, taking another appraisal of your surroundings, looking up to the sky and its carpet of stars. It was quickly starting to get cold, so you got up and went to your horses, fishing some blankets out for them. Looking inside the bag, you couldn't find your usual extra blanket for yourself. Shit. Must have forgotten to take it before you left. You spied your binoculars in there. You took them and walked to the edge of the cliff again. You were about to put them up to your eyes when you realized you didn't need them to see what was happening in Clemency. The whole town was dark, except for the bright lights prominently shining from the saloon. You saw the shallow silhouettes of people dancing play out across the street in front. And if you listen very closely, music.
Seems like they're having a rip-roaring time.
Yeah. I wondered if they'd do it tonight, like Bartholomew mentioned.
Why wouldn't they? What have they got to be worried about?
His voice was a little cold, blunt, ice cubes in a drink bumping your teeth as you sip. Out of all the towns I've been kicked out and run out of, this is the only one I'd want to come back to.
This place ain't for us. We're trouble, Kerr. We're no good for these folks. Tomorrow we'll be gone. We'll tell our bosses we didn't find anything. And if we're lucky, they'll just go on their way. Maybe in another life we could have gone back there. It would have been nice. But this is our life. Our only one. It is what it is. We move on. That's how we live.
You could feel the wind blowing behind you, ruffling your trousers, whistling past your ears, as it seemed to push you towards the edge of the cliff. Yeah, I guess it is. The wind kept howling, picking up and dying down, whistling off of the valley and kicking up clouds of dust around the buildings down below. Curly Wolf is gonna ransack this place, even if they don't have anything.
And what do you want me to do about it, huh, Kerr? It's not my problem.
You feel now the desert night on you. Your fingers, the tips of your ears, starting to feel the tenderness of the cold and the wind. You were shivering. You shouldn't have talked back to him. You knew how that always went. It never ended well. You just made him feel worse, like it was his fault. Why should he have to listen to your stupid concerns? It was your shit to figure out. He owes you nothing. You just met. You don't know each other. If it weren't for convenience, you would have shot each other hours ago. You heard the sound of shuffling behind you as he got up. He started walking toward you. Here it came, as you knew it would. You tense up as he approaches, closing the distance, expecting the due anger. Closing your eyes when you feel him at your back, ready for the blow that's coming. You flinch when you feel a weight around your shoulders, a squeeze of them too that you expect to hurt, but is so tender it couldn't possibly. Opening your eyes, you see a thick blanket draped around you down to your knees.
You look cold. Don't want to get consumption just standing there. You know how cold the desert gets.
You drop the binoculars gingerly by its strap to the floor, now clasping the edges of the blanket with your hand tighter around you. You could feel how cold your fingers were just below your chin, almost numb. How long had you been standing here for? I'm dreadful sorry.
You got nothing to be sorry for.
You and he sat back down by the fire, Joseph giving it a 1,000-yard stare. Thank you.
Nothing to it. Get warm.
You pull the blanket tighter again, the desert chills still sweeping underneath. Are you not cold?
I've been around the fire all night, haven't I? I'm fine.
He's lying. You can see his feathers twitch and shiver, but he's trying hard to hide it. You wonder the truth of what he said, too. We just had to move on. Standing up with the blanket, you walked around the fire, standing over him a moment as he looks up toward you with the wide eyes. You sweep the blanket around him and sit down, shoulder to shoulder. You were right. He's definitely cold, but a lot warmer than you'd imagined.
Oh, little guys, little babies.
Oh, this is gonna give me brain rot. Oh.
I told you I'm fine.
Don't give me that blow, tough guy. You're not. He looks like he's going to say something, but just shuts his beak. He suddenly seems a lot warmer.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean what I said.
I know. That wasn't the fella I've been around all day. I'm just scared. He nods softly, as to be almost unnoticeable.
Yeah, I'm more scared than I have ever been.
Together you huddle, bringing the blanket tighter and tighter, and moving closer to each other. He smells like the desert, dusty and sweaty. Why is this so warm? Why do you feel like this? Not warm like you're around a fire, but like there's a fire inside you. Warm coals shifting around inside and embers spitting in your throat. Have you ever felt like this before? Joseph, he looks at you. Your faces so close together. You lean your head into his shoulder, staring into the wild dance of the fire. I haven't met someone like me before, or someone like you. You're extremely kind, even to a stranger like me. I wish I could know you more than those few hours. I know I have to ride back in the morning, but of all the hopes I've hoped, the strongest is that I could just stay here. That the sun would never rise. I don't want to go back. You stay clinging to him. After a few moments, he pulls you tighter.
I have to say, I feel the same way. I can see in you someone who's faced so many hardships. Someone who deserves better, who's worked harder than any of the lump suckers back where you come from. You are a couple queer fish in a barrel, I'd say. Lord knows how we found each other. The sun will come up again and we'll have to go our separate ways. We don't have another choice. I just wish it wasn't so. I wish.
You lift your head to look at him. He just gives you a look and turns back to the fire. What are you thinking? He sighs, warily, like he's been asked to carry the world on his back.
It's a flight of fancy, that's all. It's not realistic.
You look at him curiously, catching his eyes. He looks at you, almost for approval, before he thinks about what he wants to say.
I wish we could run away. That's it. The two of us, far away from everyone and everything. Right east till we know no one's chasing us.
That sounds nice. You both cuddle for a little while longer, sitting close and resting your heads together. The thoughts of running away tick over in your mind. Is that what you want? As if he could read your mind, Joseph asked.
What do you want to do?
You thought more. No one had ever really asked you that, and even so, you knew what you wanted to say. I'm tired of running, Joseph. I want to fight. I want to kill Curly Wolf.
Really?
It's the only way I can think to be free of him. You know as well as I do you don't get to just up and leave.
Don't get me wrong, I'd love to be free of Black Vulture too, but do you think that's something you could do? Kill him?
I can't do it alone. Our gangs, Joseph, they're gonna destroy this town. And after, if we ran away, we'd never be safe.
we'd be looking over our shoulders the rest of our lives. I don't want to run away from things anymore. I want to run towards a better life. With you.
Joseph's eyes were sympathetic, but his expression was of discomfort.
I think you're right, and I do want to help you, but I'm useless in a fight. I can't shoot straight. I don't want to die, Kerr.
I wouldn't let that happen. I'll keep you safe. We can keep each other safe. We haven't been living our lives, Joseph. Just surviving. Something better than that is worth dying for, I think. The fight feels inevitable. We should face it.
You're really that desperate to get out?
You nod, head held against his shoulder. He sighs that same sigh again, long and heavy, almost theatrical if it weren't for the stakes laid out before you both.
I think you're right. A chance like this won't come again. I might even be tempted to call it fate. We should talk to Sheriff again, I think. Somehow. If we can.
He yawns.
I don't know what we're gonna do, but we ain't gonna figure it out when we're bone tired. We should get some sleep. Come morning, we'll talk more. Figure something out, and then...
Hope on a kiss and a prayer that we'll make it out alive.
He chuckles.
Ain't that the story of our lives?
This'll be the last time we have to fight like that. I swear it.
You both fall asleep against each other, dreaming of that promise, praying for a better tomorrow, and willing to fight for it.
Wouldn't it be so mean of me to decide to end stream right here? I've still got plenty of time, so I'm gonna keep going, but wouldn't that be so rude?
It wasn't the red morning sun, now risen just above the horizon, that had woken you, nor was it the gentle slumbering breath of Joseph against your neck, doing its best to lull you back to sleep. What woke you wasn't even the familiar crick at the base of your tail from sleeping on the bedroll, a stiffness you couldn't wait to stretch out. It was your thoughts, all the thoughts in your mind, like so many wild horses running of what may come next. What you both had to do. The nights spent on a lookout were better than the sleepless nights back at camp, but you still dreaded the dawn that came after. At least you had Joseph this time. At least you had him for what was to come, you hoped. You could feel one big wing of his, wrapped around your stomach, shifting as he started to wake too now. As much as you wanted to keep lying here with him for just a few more minutes, you knew you had to get up. Coffee wouldn't brew itself. You peeled back the blanket as little as you could to let yourself escape, gingerly untucking Joseph's finger from your side. Sliding off the bedroll and through the dirt, you let Joseph's arm down gently. Crouching low on your knees, you gave his hand a gentle squeeze, feeling the soft, dry, dusty feathers beneath your fingertips. Holding this moment in your head, that it might stay there. You stood up, dusting yourself off everywhere you could. Time to get ready. Even with Joseph here, your morning routine was mostly just the same. Just doubled, you supposed. Feed and water the horses, both of them. Make a pot of coffee, double the amounts though. Let it brew for a little longer too, on the same fire as you used last night, together. You kept thinking while the coffee boiled. There were many things you didn't have time to think about yet. Even so, unimportant things still rose. An unimportant thought that kept bubbling up was how nice it was to not have the usual knot in your stomach.
So why aren't the horses anthro? We don't ask questions around these parts, we just enjoy the yowie.
The tightness that twisted every time at camp when you had to get food or a drink, use the same tools in the same space as the others. It was nice not having to worry right now, you thought, about sharing this. Joseph wouldn't complain about having to get coffee from the same pot as you.
He wouldn't get angry that you were handling his stuff. Could it have always been this easy? Your stomach rumbling snapped you from your thoughts. Of course, you'd forgotten breakfast. You went back to your bag and unwrapped some salted pork, holding it between your teeth and tearing a chunk off. You always liked how chewy it was. When you weren't in a rush, the rhythm of your jaw grinding it up helped you think. Possibilities were rolling around in your mind, dice cast along the branches of a tree, how things might play out. Although you couldn't just keep it to yourself now, better or worse, this was about the two of you. There was both weight and comfort in that thought. As you watched the pot start to bubble and steam, you heard the sound of sleepy shuffling, turning to see a waking Joseph. He was propped up on one elbow, clearly trying to figure out what was in front of him, rubbing his eyes with one winged hand. He saw his pupils contract to the morning sun that was getting brighter and brighter, focusing on you.
Good morning, partner. Is that the sweet smell of coffee I smell brewing?
Not sure I'd so call it sweet. You looked into the pot at the dark brown, tar-like substance, regretting the large snoutful you got of its acrid, bitter scent.
Well, the idea's sweet to me, at least. The stuff's damn near magic far as I'm concerned.
With surpassing energy for someone who had just woken up, Joseph whipped the blanket off of him, standing and dusting himself off. He watched still as he stretched. His fingers locked together, wings pushed and pulled in front and behind, the way the feathers of his neck parted and ruffled as he rolled his head around his shoulders. The hem of his shirt, usually tucked in but now loose after a night's sleep, rising ever so slightly as he twisted his body. He sighed as he finished, wings on his hips, and met eyes with you.
What are you looking at?
Nothing.
Uh-huh.
A shy smirk crept across his face as he tucked his shirt back in and walked over to you.
What you eating?
Salt pork. There's some in my bag if you want.
I think I will. Thank you kindly.
Can you get some cups too? This coffee looks about done. You looked behind you at Joseph, crouched as he dug into your bag, giving you a quick thumbs up. You turned to the pot again and stirred it with the spoon a little. Joseph came back round and sat beside you, setting 2 tin cups on the ground with one hand. Hold on, I just adjusted my microphone again. Is it still picking up? This shit's still picking up? It is. Alrighty. Joseph came back round and sat beside you, setting 2 tin cups on the ground with one hand. His beak tore at the piece of jerky in his other hand, hungrily swallowing it down after a few chews. He picked up the pot and poured you both a hot cup, eagerly tapping his cup with yours before drinking.
Cheers.
You both sipped quietly. You could feel the heat of the coffee traveling all the way down your gullet, burning in your belly.
How did you sleep?
Good. Like a pup. Didn't wake once.
Me too. Slept better than even that hotel I stayed in one time. I swear the sheets on that bed were the softest darn thing I've ever touched.
Sounds nice.
It was. Last night was nicer, mind you.
Another silence between you now. Likely you were both thinking the same thing. Thinking about last night. What you talked about. Silence. Because if neither of you spoke, maybe nothing would happen. Maybe the world would stop turning, and the sun would stop rising. Of course, it still does. You can see it charting its course away from one horizon to the next. So, what's our plan? Joseph shuffled a little, legs restless.
We kill Curly Wolf and Black Vulture. That's what we said, right?
You nodded.
Maybe we don't have to. We could just run away.
We talked about that, Joseph. If we run, we'll spend the rest of our lives looking over our shoulders. We'll never really be safe.
Yeah, you're right.
Besides, have you never thought about it?
Of course I have. It's not that simple, though. Everyone around him is loyal. It'd be hard to even get the chance. Even if I killed him, I wouldn't get away with my life. And even when I thought about it, I thought about that ideal world where he's got a bullet in his brain and I'm home free. There's nothing after, Kerr. I could never see what would happen in the rest of my life. It was blank. Just a desert.
If you were to kill him now, what do you see? Joseph looked ahead, thinking. Feathers on his face fluttered in the wind.
Something, I suppose. Not nothing, at least. I think maybe I can trust that. Are we really gonna be able to kill them, though?
I don't know. They bleed and die like anyone else. It's just hard to get the chance. At some point, our gangs are gonna go to Clemency and take us with them, whether we like it or not. I think we should try to use that to our advantage. Unfamiliar place, for them at least.
What about everyone in town? They shouldn't have to be involved with this.
They're already involved. We can't change that. I just wonder if any of them would help us. I doubt it.
Do you think?
He looked at Joseph, and he turned to look at you too, his brow furrowed.
Sheriff?
You felt a cold dread wash over you, even in the heat of the morning sun. No, I don't think Sheriff wants anything to do with us. We'd be dead before we even crossed the town line, remember?
I know. It just... there was something about it. The sheriff was when we were told to leave. I don't know if I fully believed it.
Sorry, Joseph. I think that's just wishful thinking.
Hey, you listen to me now. I ain't making it up.
His voice was suddenly sterner, the timidness that had been in his voice now gone.
I'm telling you, Sheriff. I don't think Sheriff wanted to tell us to leave. There was something far too sad about it. You saw it too, right? I'm not imagining it.
You thought back, and it hurt too much to dwell on it. But now you thought about it, you had to agree. It wasn't like other times when you'd been exiled or barred from places. There was anger, but there was also frustration, disappointment. That wasn't normal. You might be right. Even so, I don't think we can go waltzing black into Clemency and expect Sheriff to welcome us with open arms. We still don't even have a plan.
I think we need to talk to Sheriff. Even if we don't have a plan, Sheriff needs to know what's coming.
Yeah, you're right. I just don't know how. We'd need to get to Sheriff without being seen, ideally. I don't want to risk getting shot, however unlikely. Without being seen. You set your coffee down, getting up and walking to the edge of the cliff. You didn't need binoculars to see the shape of the town from up here. How the land moved and shallowed down towards the buildings. You looked along the cliff in the opposite direction to where you'd gone yesterday. Hey, Joseph. I think if we ride our horses this way, we could maybe get to the town from the back. The sheriff's office is at the back of the town there. If we surrender ourselves, we might get to talk to Sheriff. Joseph got up from where he was and walked over to you, looking along the cliff where you were pointing, sipping his coffee.
Look, yeah, that could work.
What, not a fan of that idea?
Oh, no, we can do that. This coffee's just mighty vile.
He held the cup over the edge and tipped it upside down, the brown sludge falling into the sand below.
Let's get going. We don't have much time before both of us will be needing to head back to our gangs.
Yeah, of course. You took one last look along the cliff face, and started helping Joseph clear up the camp, making haste to get on your horse. You rode as quick as you could down the cliff face, taking a long route around the back of the town. Climbing off your horses, you tied them up out of sight behind a rocky outcropping. You started your cautious walk to the edge of the town together, cautious about being spotted. The sheriff's office was right in front of you, a squat building backing up onto the side of the desert. 2 square windows were cut into this face of the building, holes in the frame from where bars once were. As you got closer, you listened out for anything that might tell you where Sheriff was. The rhythmic tapping of wood carried on the wind to you from the front porch. Carefully, you and Joseph sidled up to the building. Sticking close to the side, you shuffled along the stone wall, cold in the shade. At the edge, you slowly peeked your head out, squinting through the morning sun. The sheriff was sitting on the porch outside, looking out into the town, cane tapping idly on the wooden boards. You hadn't been noticed yet. You pulled your head back and nodded to Joseph, him nodding back in turn. You both draw your guns, backs to the wall, and called out. Sheriff! You hear the panicked shuffling of someone getting out of their chair and the cocking of a gun. Who goes there? It's us, Sheriff. Joseph and Kerr. We mean you no harm. As you heard the sheriff's footsteps coming towards you around the corner, you both put your hands up, guns hanging limply by the fingertips. You stepped back from the building and out of the shade as Sheriff craned to face you, a gun loosely pointed in your direction. What am I looking at here? Why are you back? Are you surrendering? Yeah, kinda. Sheriff, we need to talk. For real, this time. Oh yeah? Now I'm supposed to believe any collywobble you say now, am I? No, we know we betrayed your trust. We lied to you about why we were here, but we didn't lie about the danger to the town. We're asking you for a chance to explain ourselves. Sheriff's brow was furrowed. You could see that even under the tough and scaled skin. A few moments of silence passed between you. Sheriff holstered the gun slowly and calmly, the click of it uncocking letting you breathe freely again. Come into the office then, if we have things to discuss. You gave each other a look of relief as Sheriff turned to walk back. You put your guns away as well and followed the lizard round.
Alright, adjusting my microphone again so I can get back into a comfy position. The office was darker, blah 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 blah. I accidentally skipped it. I'm going to turn off my touchpad. Sheriff stood with both hands on the cane, face curious and stern, still untrusting. So, boys, what do we need to talk about? You looked at Joseph, and he met your eyes. They were darting about in the small way they do, even when you're focusing on a point. He gave you a little wink. That's all you needed. Yesterday, when we told you about those outlaws heading here, that wasn't a lie. Or I guess it was a white lie. Our gangs know about this place, and they're gonna be coming here, gold or not. So you were scouting our town out. Makes sense. Still, I don't see what's stopping you from lying about this town. You both know we can't do much to defend ourselves from a whole gang. So frankly, if I'm picking up what you're putting down, then you don't want to hurt us, and just lie to them. Tell them we're armed to the teeth, scare them off. They won't be stupid enough to still try. I guess we could, but... But what? Look, I appreciate you trying to come clean and help somehow, but this ain't our business, you see. It's not one gang, it's two. I'm from the Curly Wolf gang.
And I'm from Black Vultures.
You're from two different gangs? Well, I'll be damned. You seem so friendly with each other.
The thing is, Sheriff, we don't want to work for him anymore. Curly Wolf and Black Vulture. We want to kill him. We need each other's help to do that. We can't do it alone, you see.
Your heart was beating fast in your chest. Saying it out loud, saying it to Sheriff, changed things. Before you could convince yourself otherwise, you took Joseph's hand in yours, squeezing it tight as you stood next to him. Yeah, besides, there's no guarantee we'd be able to convince him not to come here even if we did lie to him. We need your help too, Sheriff. Sheriff's face remained stern. Or maybe concerned, you thought. Eyebrows flat across the eyes. Thinking. You boys are sure about this? This is what you have to do? Yes.
Yeah.
Joseph's hand moved, ensuring the grip of his fingers interlocked with yours. Getting a little old for things like this, but alright. I can't in good conscience endanger the people in this town. I'm gonna have to go in about 20 minutes. That's fine. In all honesty, I have a thing at 7, so I'm probably gonna be ending to stream decently soon. I'd be fine with ending it in turn with you. I can in good conscience endanger the people in this town, but I think I might be able to help. Sheriff got up and started pacing. So your two gangs, they're both gonna come here?
Yeah, I know Curly Wolf will for sure.
Black Vulture's bored, can tell. He's itching to do something.
Any history between them? Any scuffles? Would they fight or make a truce if they met?
Black Vulture said before he'd fight Curly Wolf, but I don't know if Curly even knows he exists.
Curly Wolf wouldn't work with another gang unless he had to. I don't think he'd give up this place so easily. Seems to me like them meeting up would be beneficial to your goals, don't you agree?
A fight between them would be chaotic, but maybe that's what we need.
Someone might even finish them off for us.
It would be dangerous for us, though, too.
Well, now hold on. When do the lookouts get caught in the scuffle? Almost never unless we start it. If anything, we should be the safest ones of the bunch.
You're right.
If you can delay their arrivals, then I might have a solution for you. Clemency gets supplies monthly. They arrive by train about a day and a half's ride from here. That's where the nearest station is. Since it's a whole town supplies, and the trip is long, everyone in Clemency goes in a wagon together. Easiest and safest for all of us. As luck would have it, that's in 3 days.
So the town will be completely empty?
Not a soul. I can guarantee that. We ride early in the morning and ain't back till the next day. You get your gangs here on that day and do what you need to do. Best I can come up with on short notice.
That could work. Not like we have any other plan, and anything could happen, but it's better than nothing.
Things were happening so fast.
Excuse me.
Sheriff really wanted to help. It was incredible. Was this really happening? Was this something you could do?
3 days, right? We need to both be here in 3 days.
Yep. Do you think you can do that?
I think we can.
Joseph looked at you, both of you holding each other's hand tighter.
We have to.
Good. And thank you for trusting me with this. You took a real gamble coming back here.
No, thank you, Sheriff. Really and truly. I hope to see you again when this is over.
God willing, you'll make good on that promise.
For sure. I think we both need to get going now. We'll be expected back today.
Yeah, we need to start riding soon.
Godspeed then, both of you. Keep yourselves safe. You felt sick to your stomach and light on your feet. You nodded at Sheriff and left, still holding Joseph's hand.
Okay, so seeing as this is a scene transition, I'm going to save. I'm saving it and I'm quitting. So, this has been a lovely stream. I'm definitely going to pick this back up probably later in the week. I don't know if I'll do it on the weekend, but probably during one of the no, not during one of the weekdays. I have rehearsals. Eventually, I'll pick it up eventually, maybe early as fuck Saturday, maybe early as fuck tomorrow. But at least for now, this is going to be where I end this stream. It's been a pleasure doing this with y'all. Fare thee well, my rats and rodents. Goodbye.